Hello everyone, this is Jotto, and welcome to a deck tech. Yes, this is a deck on the Dragon Slamma, as I've been calling it. Now, this actually started as Where Are My Dragons, which I found quite funny, but that's a very long deck name. So, I decided to come up with another one, which isn't as good, but at least you can actually say it. But anyway, this is a deck that me and my teammate Rhijan literally thought of making and made immediately as soon as the patch came out. Then I went off to go do some stuff for like an hour before the patch podcast, and when I came back he'd already come up with a list. And yeah, Rhijan's a bit of a mad genius when it comes to lists, which means that his version is actually riskier than mine, and I'm playing 17 shrines, he's playing 16. Yes, he's that crazy, but he has been doing very well with the deck. I've been doing very well with the deck, and so has Fuzz, who's been playing the deck a lot recently. So, it is a legit deck. It is a rage mid-range deck, a proper one. Kind of. It has 8 1-drops in it, and it plays like a mid-range deck, or a control deck. Rage has a habit of just kind of like laughing at the traditional categorization for roles. Like, I mentioned this last time I did a Mono Rage deck, where it was like, yes, it's a rush deck that plays like a combo control deck in half of the games. It just doesn't make any sense. Rage decks have always done this kind of thing because they have a mix of early creatures, and then they've got some late game value creatures and like ways of winning ultra late game randomly. So the decks don't like being categorized very well. I'm just going to go with mid-range because it's the closest to what this is. But anyway, so this deck makes use of the new Burning Rage. Burning Rage's drawback was changed, so you don't take damage if you have 4 cards less in hand, but if you try and play it the way you used to, you start taking ludicrous amounts of damage. And because you have to keep your hand size down at 4 while drawing sick amounts of cards off the Burning Rage, well, what are we doing? Playing 4 Altar of Dragons and 17 Shrines so that we miss Divine Offerings and actually keep our hand size low. Yes, this is a thing. Now, Rhijan is playing 16 Shrines. Personally, I like not getting mana screwed every third game, so yeah, I'm going to go with the 17. So let's start from the top. This is a mid-range deck, but you need to keep your hand size low. So what do you need to do? You need to play a 1-drop Burning Rage with a second, like you go Burning Rage with an Altar on turn 2, you take 0 damage, and then you ramp from there. Now, the early game is the standard 8 1-drop suite that every single Rage aggro deck plays. Golden Warrior is slightly better than Lizard Barbarian, but the point is they both attack for 2 each, and Lizard Barbarian lets you trade into Force Mage Protector quite efficiently, whereas Golden Warrior is not vulnerable to a lot of the 2 HP early game threats like Assassin or Elf Warrior. Not so much Elf Warrior nowadays, but mostly just Assassin. So yeah, standard early game, not much to talk about there. The early game creatures at the 2-drop slot is a bit more interesting. So we got 4 Fireworker and 3 Fia. Now, this deck started with Firebrand Goblin in it, but they just weren't that useful, honestly. You could not keep those kinds of cards in hand long enough because you had to keep dumping your hand to control the board, so you couldn't really rely on Fireworker, and it encouraged you to keep cards in your hand, which is not what works with Altar. So anyway, still playing the 4 Fireworker. This addresses Helm problems, and also with Incarnate being a 3-drop now, Fireworker kind of just subs in as the default 2-drop now. It's a decent 2-drop, 2/2, trades with Assassin, doesn't get killed immediately by Militia or Vermin or things like that. So it does deal with some early game stuff. It's good against Fia in the Rage Mirrors. It's always just been a solid 2-drop, and quite frankly, it's nice to play 4. It deals with any kind of Lamp or Helm shenanigans as well, so that's always nice. Then we got 3 Fia. This is what replaced the Fireworkers. The Fia, it's just kind of astonishing how useful this is, especially against Red. Although it is also useful against Order, because it can kill Militia all day, every day. But against Red particularly, it lets you kill Goblin Warriors and Gibber and Ronnie and its token very, very efficiently, and is one of those things which just lets you swing the red mirror over a bit, and you need to play your 3 Fia. Playing 4 is kind of bad. You draw multiple quite often if you're playing 4, and then the second one is awful. And then the third one is torturously bad. So yeah, you can't really keep the Fias around. But worst case scenario, you can always discard them to alter late game. So you just keep them in hand, play the rest of the stuff, and then alter. Now, we'll leave Burning Rage for a little bit later because that fits more into the late game. The 3-drop of choice, just the 4 3-drops here. We got the Gibber and Ronnie. Gibber and Ronnie is your grow-wide threat. It's vulnerable to Fire Blast and Mutant. That's about it. Mutant at 3/3 dies to pretty much everything, however. So that's not too bad. And on top of that, you're also going to be leaving Fireball up at this cost. If you have Burning Rage starts, you can actually skip 3, so you don't want too many 3-drops. But the Gibber and Ronnie is still a lot of stats for a 3-drop. It's basically a 4/2 creature for 3, spread out over multiple creatures, which is both good and bad. In a lot of situations, it will actually allow you to play defensively against Mono Order. Yes, this is a thing. Mono Order is not unbeatable for this Rage deck. Unlike some of the other Rage decks, this Rage deck can actually beat Mono Order, and the way you do it is baffling. You basically sit on Goblin tokens and a Phoenix, and you never attack. I'm not joking. This happened just earlier today, playing against a Mono Order deck. You play your Gibber and Ronnies, and you draw cards, and you play your Goblin Warriors, and you just sit on them. Like, on the back. You never attack because they get blown up by guards, and pacify, and you just never attack, and they can't really break through, and then you just get a dragon down and kill them. That's basically how you win. You can't attack against that deck. You will get utterly destroyed if you try and attack into a Mono Order deck with a Rage deck. Or just in general, but especially with Rage. So Gibber and Ronnie actually helps in that matchup because you can sit on it on the front row and just play defense, which is not something you'd think Gibber and Ronnie would be good at, but metagames can be weird sometimes. So, on to the removal spells. Now, there are 3 removal spells. These are the standard ones, playing 4 of each: 4 Fire Blast, 4 Fireball, and 4 Word of Fire. These are all necessary. Word of Fire is more of a consistency booster than an actual powerhouse removal spell, because if you have a Burning Rage in play, and you can't drop your hand size, you'll actually draw too many cards and damage yourself, so you don't really want to do that. And if you often have 2 Burning Rages in play with this deck, actually, and then Word of Fire becomes borderline suicidal in some situations. So, yeah, Word of Fire is more of a consistency booster. You won't get Burning Rage every single game, and when you don't have Burning Rage, it's incredibly powerful. When you have 1, it's quite good, and when you have 2, it's But if you have 2 Burning Rages, you're usually doing well just through the hero power at that point, because you get ramped into it with the Advanced Zash, getting the board clear. Advanced Zash is basically a removal spell in and of himself. Firestorm is a weird ability where it costs a lot, but Burning Rage ramps you into it, which means that you can get it down a lot earlier than normal. And I have played Firestorm very early before. I have gone 1-drop, alter, Burning Rage to avoid the damage, next turn, Burning Rage, and then you can ramp into this quite quickly. Now, as for the rest of the removal spells, Fireball, you need the instant speed removal. It's never been a very good spell, but you kind of need it. It helps a lot against things like Harpy, instant speed. And it does cycle up Burning Rage, but the cycle effect of Burning Rage is less important than the actual ramp aspect of it nowadays. Fire Blast is much the same, only it's more powerful than Fireball because you always have 2 levels regardless. And with Burning Rage, you can often skip the 3 mana 1 level stage. So Fire Blast is more powerful than Fireball, but it's not instant. So that's basically where Fire Blast weakness comes in. It is very, very good against zombies because it clears out all of the stupid 1 HP stuff that sits around. It's also good against other Rage decks, of which there are quite a few, and also Order decks. Now, Burning Rage is the tie-in here between the mid to late game and the early removal. It's really odd the way this plays now, because you will actually opt to use Alter instead of a removal spell with Burning Rage, because otherwise you'll draw too much. This actually comes up and is one of the weirdest things to play with in Spellweaver. This deck plays very oddly and has a lot of thinking involved, because you can accidentally kill yourself with Burning Rage damage very easily. So you have to actually leverage your Alter a lot. Now, besides that, it's basically New Horizons now that will cycle itself if you draw a second one, and it will draw you probably 2 cards in the game. Burning Rage is still shockingly powerful. It's incredibly strong. It's still one of the strongest cards in the game, if not the strongest. It's nowhere near as powerful as the old one, but it does lend itself to more mid-rangey control styles as opposed to the aggro styles. Now, the two creatures you're mostly ramping into here are the two big rage creatures, including Phoenix. Talked about Phoenix in my top 10 favorite cards, and now I get to play with it. Yeah, Phoenix is one of those cards that feels insanely broken if you can ramp into it. Getting this down a turn early feels disgusting, quite frankly. It's just silly. You can play Burning Rage, Fire Blast, Phoenix, and your opponent's just like, what do I do? That's a good question, actually. I have no idea. You can Helm a Phoenix, and you can Pacify a Phoenix. Those are the only two ways of really dealing with it efficiently, and multiple Wordifiers, I guess, but that's still a tempo loss. So, you can Helm it, and you can Pacify it. Against Order decks, you just don't attack, because you'll kill them with the dragons. And against... unless you actually have to. And against Dominion decks, you're playing 4 Fireworkers, so you can easily destroy the Helms, and they usually only play 2 Helms, maybe 3. So, unless they got very lucky, and you didn't, you'll generally have the Fireworkers sitting around to destroy the Helms on your Phoenixes. So, Phoenix is pretty damn good. Also, if your opponent does Helm your Phoenix, you'll take 3 damage from it, because they attack for 2, then 1, and then you can just Firestorm the second half off the board, so Helm isn't even that crazy. You'll take 3 damage, they'll lose a mana, and then you'll Firestorm to reset the board regardless. So it's actually not that bad. So Phoenix has always been very, very good with Advanced Zash, even though it dies to Advanced Zash. It dies to the Advanced Zash hero power, but if it has energy, it comes back. So very efficient body, 3/3/3 with flying. Now, the last creature in the deck fits in with Altar of Dragons, which is the Elder Red Dragon. 4 of them. This is the most amount of dragons I have ever played in the deck before, and it's where the deck gets its name from. So, I have done this on stream. I have gone Lizard or Goblin into Altar, setting up on turn 2 with the Burning Rage, and then using Altar next turn and putting a dragon into play. This does happen, and it's silly. I actually think that Altar might get changed next patch just because of how dumb it is to play against. I'm to play with, quite frankly. I'd wish it was like 3 mana, 3 levels, and then you get to pick what you discard, but it doesn't put the dragon into play. Like, I think that's what I'd like to see because it's a bit silly right now. It's very random, and Altar often wins or loses games currently, so... yeah, it feels like a Hearthstone card, actually. But putting Dragon into play early game against the Corruption deck or a Wisdom deck is game over. They can't handle it. Order can, if they have one of their 2 Rays. Rage can't at all. It's rough. It really is rough, and there's not much you can do against an early Dragon. However... the reason you're playing 4 is because they stockpile up in your hand, and then eventually you'll just hit the random factor on the altar and put into play immediately. You can get guaranteed altars on dragons sometimes, and the fact that you only have to pay 2 mana to get it out, which means if you have 6 mana, 3 levels, you can get a dragon into play and then shoot them for exact lethal. Like, it's a dragon fire, basically, that sticks around, they have to answer it. It's not as fast as Dragonfire, and it doesn't draw a card, but it's immune to Mind Extort, which is actually huge against control decks. You can play an Elder Red Dragon, and then you can, say, alter it in, deal 5 to them, and then they Helm it. But they've got to be careful with that, because they don't have enough mana to shoot you again. So if the Cataclysm, yeah, it deals with it, and you got 3 more. If they Helm it, then, and you have a Fireworker, hey presto, you're now at 7 mana, so you just... take your dragon back and shoot them again. So they can't really do that. And it causes some serious issues also in the ultra late game. Once you have 8 mana, well, not 8. Once you have 10 mana, basically, you can get dragon into play with altar, shoot them, and then shoot your own dragon so they can't steal it and use it against you. And then at 12 mana, you can do that, and you can just dragon fire them repeatedly, and there's not much they can do about it. So dragon is an incredibly powerful control killer. It's just a very, very strong card in general, and hasn't seen much play in the past because there was never really a deck that worked with it. Whereas now, because you're using Altar so much to keep your hand size low anyway, it just works, and is a much more efficient way of doing things. Also makes the deck almost immune to Mind Extortion in the late game, because you have a removal spell on your skill shrine. You have 2 removal spells on skill shrines, and then your win condition is a creature. So yeah, control decks have some serious issues dealing with the Altar of Dragons, and then the Advanced Zash and the Red Dragon. So anyway, shrine-wise, 17. You only want the first 3 or 4 shrines, and then Burning Rage will kind of cycle you into enough to keep you going, but you'll never get flooded. It also is kind of good to discard on Divine Offering sometimes, so that will actually come up. The 4 altar is because you need one. You absolutely need one as early in the game as possible. In fact, altar on turn 2 is really good. Like, 1-drop Burning Rage Altar on turn 2 is the best opener you can get, pretty much, because from there you can activate Altar, and then you can play like a Phoenix afterwards, and you basically just ramped for no deficit. You take 0 damage from that opening. You go down to the, if you're going first, you go down to 4 cards immediately, and if you're going second, you take the 1 damage, but then you go up a 3rd level, and then discard, and then suddenly you don't take any more damage from there. So that's the best opening you can get against any mid-range or control deck, and even some aggro decks. Now, as far as the rest of the usage goes, sometimes you'll want the second altar to go up mana just so you discard a card effectively while going at mana, so you can put a dragon into play guaranteed. That does come up. And in general, you just want to keep your hand size low, so the 4 shrines is not too bad. It's the first deck I've ever played that actually goes up skill shrine mana a lot. That confused me when I was first playing this, but yeah, it does happen. But besides that, Rhijan plays 16 shrines and then 4 Fia, I think, and I don't know, I just prefer this. But anyway, let's try and take this into a ranked game. This deck in general has been very, very good. Haven't played enough to know the matchups, but the deck has been very powerful. Now, I'm not sure about this. The reason I'm not sure about this is because I've got Burning Rage, I've got Fire Blast, I've got Altar, I'm down a Shrine, and Fia completely destroys this. I've got the double Fire Blast, so maybe I can make it work. Get rid of the second Burning Rage. Okay, I think this works. Now, I am a bit concerned about the Fia, but I'm not too concerned about it, because he does require the Spark to actually get it out. Yeah, he needs the Spark. He doesn't have it. I'll take the trade. Yeah, I can take the trade from here. If he has Gibber and Ronnie or something, that's fine. Now we get to go up Altar, play the Burning Rage, and then next turn I've got Fire Blast, don't need to Divine, and now I take 0 damage. This is actually the exact opening that I was talking about in the deck. The deck is surprisingly consistent because even if you miss a Shrine drop, because you ramp, you're kind of at parity there. So it's actually not too bad. For a deck with 17 Shrines, it surprisingly doesn't get hurt by the Shrine count that much. There's the Gibbo. So now we just get to draw here. Now I am going to take 1 damage here, which I'm not a fan of. I'm actually going to Divine Offering the Goblin Warrior just to see if I can miss it. That's unfortunate. I'll take the Altar because I think I need to drop my hand size by 1. I can't keep drawing. It's not good. I also have to be concerned about the hero power from Burke, means I can't fight on the ground. Oh, his own Burning Rage. That is surprising. Now, I'm actually just going to go up the 3rd level and just play the Gibbo. That drops my hand size again. I think at this point I may have to start using Altar instead of removal spells. Simply because I can't take damage from Burning Rage. It is way too problematic. Wait, he's at 6 cards. See, I can keep dropping my hand size. Can't really play the second Burning Rage. I'm not going to. I can't play it because then the rest of my hand gets shut off. Like, I can't play any spells at that point. This is why this Burning Rage, I'm not taking damage, but it's so much weaker because you can't just throw spells out. Because if you do, you lose. You can't just throw spells around. It doesn't work. I would double chop this personally, but then he's taking 3 damage. He's already taken 3 damage from his Burning Rage. He's only been in play for 2 turns. He's playing Burning Rage with the aggressive deck, which means he's taking an insane amount of damage for this. Now, I think I just alter. Play Gibber and Ronnie. I could Word of Fire. I need to take the 1 damage, right? So if I play Gibber and Ronnie, I'm at 4 cards in hand. Word of Fire puts me back at 5. I take 1 damage. I'm up 2 cards. He has Fireball up, so we're going to Word of Fire first. That's mostly in case I draw Phoenix or something. So he Fireballs, that's fine. Because he's actually taking more damage by doing that than anything else. Let's get rid of... Let's get rid of this Fear. I'll just take alters at this point, because I need to keep my hand size down. I'm actually happy that I get to show this game, because it's like... I've taken 2 damage from a Burning Rage so far, and I've had mine in play since turn 2. And he's already taken 5 from his. Because it's a different way of playing. Like, you can't play Burning Rage the way you used to. It does not work. You take way too much damage. That's why the drawback currently exists. I think maybe it should be 3 cards. But, it's definitely weaker than the previous one. You can't play it the same way you used to. Especially with Burke. Like, he's going to take a lot of damage. He's at 7 cards in hand. I can just start burning him out. If he's taking this much damage from his own Burning Rage, I will happily burn him out. That doesn't actually reduce damage, because he's just taking 1 more. So... Okay, I'm actually going to go up another altar, because I need to keep my hand size down. And I'm just going to start playing Fireballs end of turn, and go from there. Something else I mentioned in the deck tech. Yeah, going up a second altar just to drop hand size. It does come up. A lot, actually. I'm expecting a Flame Serpent or something. He's only taking 1 damage. I think I just killed this Phoenix, right? Now let's do this because he may block. Oh, there's a dragon. Let's attack. I'm just going to alter this because... Let's see, what are the chances of me getting dragon into play currently? I could just play the dragon and then alter this. I think that's better because he has to dragon fire it, right? Got the discard in the shrine. Yeah, I'm thinking, like, how does he deal with it? And the only thing I can think of is Dragonfire. And Dragonfire would take his entire turn and leave him with 6 cards in hand, which means he takes more damage. I would like to point out, I haven't hit him yet. I don't think I've hit him once. Yeah, I haven't hit him a single time. Wait, have I actually played 4 altars? That's kind of funny. Yeah, so he dragon fires it. He draws a card. That's fine. Now he plays a creature. Okay. Like, he takes less damage as a result, but he's taking 3 more. He has actually taken 12 damage from Burning Rage. This is why you can't play it like this. Hold up Fireball. Yeah, you can't play Burning Rage like that. It just kills you now. This is why the nerf was added that way. It's just to prevent you from playing it in an aggro deck and just doing the weird combo burn thing. Because the Burning Rage will kill you. Guaranteed. It will murder you. You can't do it that way anymore. He's still taking 2. He needs to play something else. He's in range of double Fireball. That's not something you want to be at. Heck, he's in range of, like, Dragon plus, Next turn I can play a Dragon and shoot him. He needs to, like, play something else. Sure. No, that Fireball does nothing. Because he can block this anyway. Because Dragon kills him anyway, I'm just going to start going for the burn. There's the Dragon. If I hit the Divine, I win. Yeah. He took way too much damage. I only dealt 6 damage to him in that game because the Dragon only dealt 3. Perfect example of how not to play Burning Rage currently. You just can't play it like that. It just kills you. You cannot play Burning Rage like that currently. It will murder you horrifically. So yeah, that's actually a perfect example as to why the current Burning Rage is weaker than the previous one. But that game was actually a fairly good showcase. Got to show a decent opening for the deck, and also a lot of the other tricks you can do with Alter. And yeah, things like Y Dragons in the deck. The deck is weird. It has an aggro opener with mid-range elements, and then there's weird control package in the same deck. So if you like fiddling around with mid-rangey decks that have both aggressive and control style plays, this is the deck for you. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback, want to ask me any questions about the deck, put it in the comment section below. The next deck tech I'm doing is probably going to be a counter deck of some kind, as you may be able to tell by the, well, lot of green on the side there. But anyway, as for now, it's been Jotto, signing off.